Hello guys, welcome to my channel Tech with Kazim. Today we'll look at how you can create a database in CPanel and how you can use it on your website. Please ensure you like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you. So what is a database? When you have a website and you have a form on your website that your visitors can fill, or you have a particular input field where maybe you're collecting people's email or other data you want to collect from your user or visitor. So when you collect those data, you have to save it somewhere, right? So the location where you save it in the server is what we call the database. The database is just like a location where you can save all those data that you've collected. So once they are there, you can actually fetch it from there, view it, manipulate it, or do some other things with it. So the database just allow you to like a storage for any all data that you've collected, and we have lots of databases that you can use in web hosting. You can use relational database or the non-relational, but the one we will look at today is using the relational database, the MySQL. So we'll be using MySQL to actually store the data from a particular web page. We'll be using, we have a simple form in HTML that I've designed that we're going to use to collect your first name and last name. We have a PHP form handler that is going to handle the form, meaning it's going to help us to submit the form to the database. So we'll be using the PHP and SQL with that. So let's go ahead. I'm going to open the CPanel. So when you actually host your website, you'll be given a CPanel account, a username and password for the CPanel. So on the CPanel, you'll be able to create a database, assign the user, and actually use it to store the data entry. So without wasting much time, so let's go ahead and see how to do that. So this is how the CPanel look like. When you host your company for the first time, you're going to be given a CPanel account. So these are your CPanel account look like. So in the CPanel account, there are a lot of tabs there. We have the email tab, the files tab, the database, domain, metrics. So what we'll be working with today is the database. So from the database, you're going to see MySQL database. So we are working with MySQL. So you click on the MySQL database. From MySQL database, it will take you to an overview pane where we can create a database. So what we'll be doing is, before we can use the database for our website, we need to create a database. When we're done, we're going to create a user for the database. Once we have a user for the database, we're going to assign that user to that database. Then we're going to give the user we've created some kind of privileges for it to be able to use the particular database. So once we're done, we're now going to go into the database, create a database table. Once we have a database table, then we're going to populate the column. So this is how it is. The first page, you see the database. So the account I'm using is actually, you can see the name here, El Gazel. So the hosting name will precede the database name that you want to create. So I'm going to use the DB name I'm going to use here. So let's use something like tutorial DB. So let's call it tutorial DB. The name of the database, tutorial DB. So meaning the name of this database will now be lgazel1 underscore tutorial DB. So I'm going to create a database. I'll click on create database here. So once it's created, we're going to have a status right. So that's the status, added the database lgazel1 underscore tutorial DB. So you need to get this down somewhere because you will need it in the credentials where you're handling the form. So the name of the database is tutorial lgazel1 underscore tutorial DB. So now we can now go back. So the next thing we'll now do is to create a user. So we need to assign a user that's going to actually use the database. So we need to create a user first. So once you scroll down here, So you'll see where you can create a username for the database. Again, the account is being preceded by elgazel1 um, underscore. So the name, whatever name we want to give it. So let's give it. Let me give it. Let me call it user DB. Let's call it user DB. So now you can click on the password generator to automatically generate password for you, or you can just type in your own password, alphanumeric, mixture of uppercase and lowercase, and you can use special characters as well. Alright, so the password now, so I'm going to click on create user here. So our database is created. We've created a database, we've created a user. Now the next thing we need to do is to assign the user to that database. Before you can make use of any database on the server, there has to be a user that is assigned to actually use that database, and that's the next thing we're going to do. So when you scroll down, okay, you'll see the database that we created. This is what we just created here, elgazel1 underscore tutorial db. So when you scroll down, you'll see now here, okay, no, we've created a new user, right? So this is where we can now add user to database. So we have the user here. If you click on it, you'll see other user that has been created, that you can select any user you want to assign to a particular database. If you click here too, now this is the database we just created, tutorial db. So we just created it. Let's assign user db to it. So the user is the elgazel1 underscore user db, and the database is elgazel1 underscore tutorial db. Then I'm going to add, meaning I want to assign that particular user to the database. So once that is done, all right, so now that is done, now you see manage user privileges. The user is elgazel1 underscore user db, which is right. Database elgazel1 underscore tutorial db. Then we can give it, let it have all privileges, because if you restrict it, let's say you restrict it for select, you didn't give it the you didn't give the user the right to use select statement on the database. If you're trying to use select, maybe you're trying to select from using SQL select, those of you that are familiar with SQL, select from, so it's not going to work because it's not assigned. So usually I will select all privileges that allow the user to be able to drop, create view, create routine, use insert, update, select, and delete. So basic CRUD operations and even more. So I'm going to click on make changes to actually apply all these privileges to our user. So if you look at the top right, it is successful. We have saved the elgazel1 underscore user DB's privileges on the database. So now we're done here. We're done here. So I'm going to go back. So we've created a database and we've created a user, and we've assigned that user to the database, and we've given the user the necessary privileges. So the next thing now, if you go back and if you go back to the CPanel, let's go back to the CPanel. Now if you go back to the CPanel and you go to the database tab and you go to phpMyAdmin, you are going to see the new database that we just created. So we see the database we just created. Now with this now we'll be able, but while that is coming up, this is the site we want to use, the site we want to use. So we have a form here, a navigation, under the navigation menu we have a tab there called form. So the form just only takes two entry from the visitor, their first name and last name only. So don't worry about the styling, we're just using it for tutorial. We just create a dummy form that we can just use to explain this. So now if you type in something, let me type in tech Kazim, if you submit, now nothing is working yet because we've not told it to actually handle how it's going to. We have the form there, we have the form handler there, but we've not actually connected to the database. That's why we're having this error. So now the database has opened. You can see the database we just created, the elgaze1 underscore tutorial db. So you can click on it. So once you click on it, now because it's a new database, it doesn't have a table yet. So we are going to create a table. Yeah, you see create table here. Now the create table, you have to give it a table name. So in the form, there's a particular table name. Let me show you the form. This is a the file structure for the web page. So this is a form. So let me edit, open it so that you see. Alright, so if you look here, this is the name of the form that we're using. So we'll call it form underscore entry. So I'm going to call the form underscore entry. So if you want me to share the full code of the PHP script and the SQL, PHP and SQL script that I use to handle this form, you can let me know in the comment below, and I'm going to share it with you. Also, if you have any other thing you want to ask, please don't hesitate to put it down in the comment below. So this is the name of the table, form underscore entry. So it's going to take 3 columns, because we want to have the first column to be the ID. The ID is just the numbering. Now once somebody enter his first name and last name, that should be number 1. Another person enter his own first name, last name, should be number 2, and it should keep on incrementing. So that's for the first one. And the second column will take the first name, and then the third column will take the last name, just like we have it here. Okay, let me go back. Alright, the first name will be second column, where it will store the first name, second column, where it will store the last name, third column. So that's what I'm trying to do here. So the table is form underscore entry. It has 3 columns. I'm going to click on the go here, so to create the table. So once we have the table set up, then the next thing we'll have to go is go and connect to our database. But let's set up the table first. So like I've said, so this will be the ID that will be auto incrementing. So the type is an integer, the length, let's give it 11. So we want it to auto increment. Look at this section here, AI to auto increment. If you click this here, it will make it to auto increment, like what I've said earlier, that once the first person enter his own details, that will be number 1. It keep on incrementing 2, 3, 4. As people enter their details, it keep on numbering them. So I'll click on auto increment, and it give it a primary key. So once it's done, we'll go ahead and create. Okay, I'll just click on go here. Alright, so we have that. So the second column, it has to be, now the second column and third column has to match. If you look at the form, you will see what we use in the HTML. If I share the HTML script for this, again, you can let me know in the comment if you need the HTML code that I use for that, and also the PHP and SQL code I use for that. I can easily share that with you. Now this is the colon handling the first name is first underscore name. The colon handling the last name is last underscore name. So you have to make sure that it matches this as well. So this is first underscore name. So we'll give it varchar because it can take any character. So let's give it a length 255, and that's it. So the second one will be last underscore name. I will give it varchar also. Let's give it the length 255. So that's all. You need to do any other thing. Just hit on save here at this lower corner here. Click on the save here to actually save it. So once that is done, then we are done with setting up our database. Then we need to now go into the PHP file that is handling the form. We need to go and connect to our database from there. Alright, so this way, but I want this to save for us. Okay, it's getting so already exist. So let me click it. Okay, we have the table already. Can you see the form entry now? So let me show you guys the content of the table. Just for you to see that it is empty yet. So once we've confirmed that, and we see that our table is correctly all right. So you see the three columns. The first one for ID. Okay, these are it looks like. I want to show you guys how it look like here. So we have three columns there. The first one for the ID that will be auto incrementing. The second, all right, this is the first one for the ID. Second one for the first name. Then the third one for the last name. So you see, it's currently empty. It is blank. No values here. So the next thing we need to do is to go and connect. So this is the code. Again, I can share this code. Let me know in the comment. So the way we connect to our database is the server name, which is localhost. Then it will take username, then the password, then the database name. So now I can now go and refresh my form. So I can now enter the value here. So I want to have tech here, then Kazim, then I'm going to hit on submit. Very good. Can you see data has been saved successfully? Though don't worry about this page, it's just for tutorial. You can make this place beautiful. That will just okay. Thank you for submitting these. We'll get back to you. These any information you want to pass across. A good thank you page will do, but this is just for tutorial. I just do something simple as this just to demonstrate. So now let's refresh this place that is now blank. You'll see the values will get populated there. Okay. All right. So can you now see? It has this one. I have the ID of one, the first name, Tech, and the last name, Kazim. So we now have one entry. So this is how you actually collect data and store it in a database. You collect data from Vista and store it in database using MySQL and PHP to actually handle it. So let me just use another name. Let me use Michael. Let me use Michael, and I use Davidson here. Michael Davidson. So I'll hit on submit. So data has been saved successfully, Michael and Davidson. So I'll come back here and I will refresh this. So I'll refresh this. You'll see the entry will get updated and it should take position 2. And once you now go and add another entry, okay, you can see it now, Michael Davidson. So these are you keep on collecting information from your visitors. So I think I can close this now. Alright, so now the next thing I want to just show you guys is what I can just show you guys again is that you can actually use search. Should in case this is a database and you may actually have lots of entries in your database. So you may have hundreds of thousands of, like in this case now, hundreds of thousands of names that people have submitted. And let's say you're searching through a particular one, because you can't be flipping page by page, it's going to take a lot of time. You can just use an SQL. So if you're familiar with SQL, you can use the SQL select statement to actually select the exact one you're looking for. So I'm going to use, okay, you see, because I'm in the form entry, it has already populated what I need. Select all from form entry where, but this time around I want to use, there's a column there called first underscore name. So I want to say where first underscore name is tech. Is tech. You now have an entry there called tech with Kazim. The first name is tech. So where it is tech, so I will end it with a semicolon. So once I do this, is only going to bring at let's say there are tens of thousands of entries there. Is only this line line of SQL. This SQL code now is not going to fetch only the entries that have Kazim as first name. So if you don't want, or let's say there are multiple, only the first name that is tech. Let's assume there are multiple names that have tech. You can also modify it and use and or you use full name to be typed with Kazim and return only that result. So let me execute this now. I'm going to press the go so that it will only fetch only that entry that have tech. I have two entries. Like, okay, can you now see? It only returned one, and with the orange border around the one it found. So these are you search through. Let's say you have hundreds of thousands of entries from there. You can also actually use this on a separate page that is going to be returning those results, viewing those results for you. If you need assistance on that, you can let me know in the comment below, and I'm going to share that with you as well. So the same way, let's say you want to delete a particular entry, though you can easily delete here, but what if there are hundreds of thousands of line of code that you can easily use delete from? So you can just use delete from the name of the table, then just like we use the select, but this time around we are not using delete all. We are not using the asterisk, just delete from the table. You specify the table, then where you use the where clause, where the, let's say, first name, where the first name is this. You want to delete all entries that have a particular first name or a full name. You want to specify the full name instead. So that's how to work with it. And I believe with this now, with this short tutorial, I'll be able to show you guys how you can use database in your website. You can use forms to collect whether email, for example, the most common one you want people to subscribe to. Maybe you have a blogging website, or you have another website, business website. You want to collect customer visitors or customers email. So this is a simple way you can just create a database so that they type in the email, you save it, and you have it in your database. You can use it to reach out to them later. So thank you for following this tutorial to the end, and please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much.